Thank you very much. This situation, of course, shows Ukraine in a kind of dark colors to us, even black colors, I would say. That at the same time, I'd like so that it's not everything is lost. Of course, a lot depends on the community will and will of those people who are ready to stand for their rights at this market. And I'd like to appeal to a historical experience which we have here in the Ukrainian community. Just a couple of words in order for you to understand that this is not the first wave in Ukraine when there is a pressing on business, in particular business connected with the internet. First waves, we survived first waves back in 90s, then in 2000s. You remember all the times when equipment was seized. Me personally, I was kind of guarding my equipment with a big kind of stick, trying to protect my own equipment. Now, we passed those difficult times with kind of stronger, and we became stronger. And I hope that today we should overcome the current situation. We will overcome current situation. Да, у меня есть. When the issues of self-governance of internet, there would be in a list of issues through which all problems and challenges with internet in Ukraine will be solved. The impact and the influence of the state bodies would be minimal, and their influence would be only linked to how to support or how to ensure the demands of the state, of the government, and business will understand itself what is good for it or what is bad. And we have all the prerequisites for that. For the developments of that we want to create self-regulatory system for advanced decisions connected with the domains, with the IPR in the internet before any court decisions are being taken. We want to stand for that any activities of the law enforcement structures in the internet or by the subject or people who work in internet would be only done based on the court decision. We are for that. We are united in our resistance. Today there are 6 companies which have been shown as an example and which recently suffered within the recent 3-4 weeks the pressure. They united and they now act as one front, and it's already helpful, it's already useful. We'll try to bring this information to media in the European Union, in the United States, all over the continents. We will overcome, will pass these challenges. I remember back in 2000, Ukraine started to build backbone. In 2003, 2002, backbone there was kind of commands to build, and it happened so that by means of administrative tools, it was not possible to create only one backbone. Market in Ukraine created 6 backbones. 6 were created by the market, and at this moment, these are physical fiber, which are the most powerful among all European countries. and I'm sure that we will become even stronger after we'll overcome all these problems. And I'm sure, and on this positive note, let me please finalize the session. Thank you very much for the first working day. And now about social event. What? Do any of you have any comments or questions? I have a comment. I came to this excellent conference from the Russian Federation, and I'm very pleased that despite the fact there was quite dark and negative presentation about what is going on in Ukraine, I'd like to say that it's even worse in Russian Federation. Unfortunately, we didn't start to deal with the politics. Politics started to deal with us, and we have all these sort of issues like Balkan Club, and it's all loved by our European colleagues, where you try to follow. There is all possible filtering of entities. I haven't heard maybe about the seizure of servers in Russian Federation, at least for a long time. But so I'd like to wish my Ukrainian colleagues, don't let your situation to be brought to an extent. It is now in Russian Federation. You have now an excellent opportunity. Based, at least I follow in Odessa, there is a kind of pre-election campaign. So do try to approach your delegates and try to protect your rights as internet society, at least. My colleagues remind me that within our ENOG society we have a working group which is dealing with the legal issues. We planned a separate announcement tomorrow, but right now we have a situation that I'd like to give the floor to citizen of Ukraine, Simenyaka, for this announce. And before I'm going to announce anything, I'd like just to make a small comment what was mentioned by Yuri and Sasha. I'm a citizen of Ukraine, as I was told, but at the same time I'm a resident in Russian Federation and work in Moscow. I can see what's going on in the situation with the Russian industry for quite a long period of time and quite well. And there is my kind of wish for what was mentioned by Sasha and by Europe. And in Russian Federation, at the same time, of course, lots of problems are caused by the fact that people want to gain money, gain profit very soon, very quickly. And when there is some initiative, some moments, they very quickly register themselves as an entity that imminently start solving and lobbying their kind of private tasks, private interests, in order to solve the problems of certain people. And then the industry is abandoned, and that goes to a level of kind of troubleshooting institution for certain people. Very often we saw this situation when it looks like an entity is being created within the industry, which very quickly goes to the business language. They start talking only dealing with the government. They can talk with some large representatives, and the industry is forgotten. So don't repeat these mistakes. You should clearly understand the focus of activity, and once something is being created, you have this clear focus. If it's a technical entity, please do focus on machinery. Otherwise, it would be the repetition of the same story I many times observed in Russian Federation. And if I, for example, what you see, this initiative, which is written on Sasha's name page, what they try to do, they try to focus on the equipment, on the technical part. But this is the first attempt for the recent years I observed in Russian Federation. So please do not repeat these mistakes, and then the opportunity of success would be much higher. An announcement within the framework of ENOG. Now I'm talking as the representative of the program committee of ENOG. Sasha is also the representative in Euro, all of us. Such great guys here. So, some time ago, 2 ENOGs ago, we came up with the idea to create working groups, topical working groups, which will take place in between the sessions, so that we have a kind of exchange of experience, of information, some kind of interactive activities. Not only when we sit here in the room, but also electronically, because sometimes there are some topics which continue to be, to be valid, and they don't stop with the end of the event. And currently it doesn't happen. Currently there is no intermediary events. So anyway, we came up with the initiative to create a working groups. The first working group was created in order to discuss legal and adjacent issues which are being faced by the operators and players at the market. For example, when the communication operator doesn't know how to interpret this or that legal instrument or legislation or law, it's not kind of their benefit, it's not what they earn money from. They just try to get rid of the headache. And maybe somebody has already a solution for this challenge, and it's not a commercial secret. It's an open information. Therefore, we wanted to create this working group to support each other. It's called Legal with G, legal-with G at .org, and you can assign to this group. You can join openly this group, and everyone who has any considerations or suggestions or just want to follow what's going on there, you are welcome. And there could be many different issues for discussion. It's an open working group. This was my announcement. I think we'll have another announcement on the working group, but this is a preliminary information for you. Thank you. I can see lots of raised hands. I'd like to just to mention that when you concentrate on the result, very often it depends much on what is your objective. If you have an objective to work on the promotion of internet in a country, you can reach one result. If you have as an objective your personal career development, that could be different. But if you just want to earn money, you know, what sort of result you was talking about when you appealed to everybody to work harder? First of all, the work of my life, sorry for this kind of topic, is the development of internet in the country. If we would develop a market, everybody will find a place for himself at this market. We developed market greatly in the residential broadband. We take 8th place, and after the agreement dropped, we have an 8th position as to the quality and the cheapest. Now we develop market greatly, and now there are certain operators which don't know how to work at this sort of market, and they say that, for example, the market has been damaged by dumping. So did we develop anything? No, we didn't. We did develop, but killed by dumping. It means it's not a secret that, as was mentioned by Karl Marx, capitalism for the 30 grivnas of gain, the capitalist with 30 grivnas of gain would the percent would betray his own mother. But unfortunately for dumping and the possibility to give a kick to your neighbor, ISP would betray not only their mothers. Therefore, when I talk about the self-organization, when I talk that we should be united, and when I say we shall overcome, it means that we ourselves should understand that we should refuse this strategy. Some time ago, through this strategy, we started to kill our market, and then we abandoned this strategy. And during the period of 2008-2013, we developed pretty well. That's what you mentioned. It was our eighth position taken as to the band. But once the market became more vulnerable, once it became unstable, all of a sudden the dumping opportunities came back. But it doesn't depend on somebody who is sitting, an official who is sitting in the office. Which means that we should be somehow we should deal in a way that the monopoly committee wouldn't have any kind of issues towards us. So once again, as to the dumping, so honest operators started to do it, who can't work in the fair environment, and they started to look for certain mechanisms. Because what is dumping is about? It's a work which for the price which is lower of the raw cost. And for example, if I have a number of operators where I live in Kiev, at Bologna, and 10 of them work fairly in this environment and then know how to develop, there are no any investments connected with them, but the rest 4 try to use governmental leverages in order to kind of to get more profit. So it's not a kind of dumping, it's a kind of topic promoted by those operators who were deprived of the investments and they can't operate at the level of the proficiency. Therefore, we should get united in order not to allow them to monopolize the market. I hope that with the help of that authority, at least I hope that they have it in this country and internationally, I'm ready to facilitate as I can that these things in Ukraine wouldn't take place. Of course, this is a legal issue, but the problem is that it's not only enough that we have a law, because it doesn't mean that it's going to be implemented. The hardness of the laws in the Russian Empire can be compensated by the non-necessity of their implementation. I'd like just to add that there is such traditional thought that, for example, internet providers are rich, but you all know what is the marginality of the internet industry. There is always a second alternative. This is a kind of the method of enforcement. Like, for example, the Ministry of Culture wants to create their local police. Maybe we also have to kind of to build our own police or kind of I don't know guards who, in order to protect us from those who want to destroy the infrastructure. Because I saw and like I can say that the liquidation of the equipment of ISP is a kind of domestic terrorism, because it's kind of, I think this is which is against the declaration, United Nations declarations. It's similar to as somebody would decide to I don't know, damage the water supply or heating supply or something like that. This is similar, and of course one of us can live without the television or heating or mobile connection. It's not at all. It's not that kind of simplistic. It's also connected with like, for example, somebody switched off Google, which is used by you for identification of the websites, which is a basic resource which helps you to work in the not only in the world but also to gain for the sake of the government. Now we have a kind of that everything changed. Now when we moved from the IP4 to IP6, we know all our life is based on the internet infrastructure. We still don't realize how it happened, but there is a kind of inertia in that. I just like to say one thing with the reference to Mikhail's presentation. We all learn how to build networks based on any technical things in the internet based on the 7-stage model. And for quite long, we already talk about internet governance, stakeholders, and all these sort of things. And this looks like a kind of big balloon or big circle which unites everything, which combines everything. It's first time that I heard that ICANN offers a similar ISO model of detalization of the notion for internet governance, and maybe this will bring us to an understanding of what sort of organizational, administrative, and legal aspects should be legally adopted for the development of the internet governance. And I'm pretty sure, not even pretty sure, I knew what Mikhail was going to talk about. I saw his presentation. I even saw that he has at least another 2 layers, and based on the development of this internet governance model, administrative, organizational development, we should also keep working as we work on the technical development of internet based on those 7 stages. I also like to add that we now the management of ICANN now is dealing by the hijacking of the ICANN government and kind of I don't know, abandon of their stakeholders. So they sabotage the model which was discussed. CG and WG, they try to deprive those people who made this ICANN, this management. They try to kind of deprive them of their veto right. And by means of that, by means of some legal kind of tricks, they try to play. And it doesn't. I don't even talk about the concrete people, but about people who are in the management of ICANN. They became the victims of their own authority, and they understood it's not that they were selected for something. They became the national delegates, and they felt that democracy is not any longer interesting for them because they want to stay in this. I don't want to say that all people are bad. They are. This is kind of a mentality of those people who's working for quite long in the administration. Okay. On this note, when we talk about the problematic issues from RIPE to ICANN, I propose you to finalize our first day to think about this, to agree or disagree to that, and maybe to finalize our discussions as we are looking forward to our social event.